Hey everybody, Brian here from Sandy Vans. Today I'm going to show you how to build and install your Sandy Vans side ladder. In your kit, you're going to get everything you see here on the table, and then you'll get emailed these PDF instructions right after purchase. In these instructions, it shows you all of the pieces you'll be receiving, all of the hardware that'll come in your kit, and all of the tools needed to build this ladder and install it. So let me walk you through some things that are going to come in your kit. First off, you're going to have two of these lower pieces. The lower piece has this little piece on the end here that L's and goes back underneath to your pinch weld of your van. You can see the little logo here in the corner. You're going to have a right side and a left side. The top part of the ladder will look like this with a little hook on the top. That's going to hook on your Sandy Vans roof rack. You're going to get 8 of these step rungs with all these L-track and different locations to bolt things into, like shovels or max tracks or anything like that on the outside of your ladder. You're going to receive some of these joiner pieces. These pieces will join the top and bottom of your ladder. You're going to get some of these top mounted brackets that mount right into your roof rack. And then these lower brackets, which hook underneath the van and go into your pinch welds right here. Also in your kit, you'll have an assortment of bolts. You'll have 4 7/8 bolts. You're going to have a ton of 3/4 inch bolts. We just have a bunch laid out here from our stock. You're going to have some washers and some 1/4 20 nylock nuts. The tools needed to build the ladder are going to be a 4mm Allen head on a T-handle. I also have it on a drill for after I hand tighten them, I can put it together a little quicker, and a 7/16 wrench or socket for all the nuts. And when you're going to install it, you're going to also want to have a, you have a 1/4 inch. I like to go a little bigger, so a 5/16 drill bit to drill through your pinch welds on the lower part of your van. All right, the first part of the build for the side ladder is attaching your steps to the side panels. So here I've got one of our steps. You want to make sure you have your side panels positioned correctly. Like I said, we have the Sandy Vans logo in the side, so you want to make sure that that is pointing outward when you're attaching your step like so. You're going to grab your 3/4 inch 1/4 20s, pop them through, and then they're going to go into the holes on the sides of the steps here, like such. And the same thing, get a little nut on the back end here. I like to just hand tighten a bunch of these, and I'll come back with either the T-handle or the drill to tighten them all up. So you can pretty much just work your way along the entire side of the ladder, popping all the screws and nuts in. All right, now that we have all of our steps on this low portion of the rack hand tightened, we're going to come back with either our T-handle or our drill with the 4mm Allen head and our 7/16 wrench. Show you once with the T-handle. So you want to have your 4mm Allen head in here, and then your 7/16 wrench on this side. Slowly tighten it up until you see the bolt come through the nylock on the nut here, just like that. Now I'm going to work my way through with the drill, just because it's a little bit quicker. All right, so now that you have all of your steps or rungs attached to your side ladder, you want to work on the top section. They'll be very similar to this. All right, now for the top section, which has the hook on it like this, it is the same exact way to attach all your steps. These are symmetrical, so there's not really a left or a right, so these can go on either side. So once again, you can put this flat on the table, slide your ladder step up to it, put your bolts through, and your nuts on the back side, and same concept, just hand tighten everything, and then come back with either your T-handle, Allen, or your drill with a 4mm on it. All right, so now that we have the top and bottom section of the ladder built, we're going to take our joiner plates that look like this with the 8 holes in it, and that's where all of these holes around the logo and this upper section come into play. So we're going to put this joiner plate on the back side here, pop your bolts through, and once again, as well, do the hand tightening of them, and then join the two and snug it all up. Now that we have the bracket attaching the upper and lower portion of the rack, we're going to come and tighten all these bolts in. One thing that you really want to make sure is that this gap is nice and straight and that it's all flush right here. So sometimes you're going to want to put something under each side of the ladder to kind of lift both sides up, so this will come nice and straight. Looks pretty good right there. And same thing with your drill or the T-handle. All right, so you have your bottom and your top mounted together with those joiner plates. Now this is ready to go onto your roof rack and drill the holes into the pinch welds. So let's go take a look. All right guys, here is the install of the ladder. We're gonna bring it up here. We have these really cool hooks on the top, so you can just hook it onto the top of your van. And then I like to kind of take a little step back and kind of see where it's setting. On the 144, you wanna have it just in front of the wheel well, and with this center line in between these side rails, you could easily move it front to back if you want to. For instance, you can bring it into here and have it on this side of here. But pretty much you're just gonna wanna make sure that this line right here and this window is the same distance the whole way up. And that's the best way to kind of see how straight it is on the roof of the van. So I'm kind of liking it right there. All right, so once you kind of have your location on the roof, you're going to take your brackets here. You have one left and one right, and you want to bolt them into the lower part of the rack. I like to put the head on the outside going in, line up the holes, and get it up against the pinch weld. There we go. Nuts on the back. These are the 3/4 inch bolts. So now that we got them hand tightened, once again, we'll use our T-handle or our 4mm to tighten them up. All right, now that we have these lower brackets installed, we can now look up into these pinch welds and we can see where we can mark with our Sharpie or paint pen. And you're gonna wanna get these holes that you drill as high as possible without cutting up the bottom side of your van. Just because the higher in the pinch weld you can get the hole, the more strength it's gonna have. Same thing on this side, and mark these holes. All right, once you have these lower brackets lined up on the pinch weld, we're gonna drill through that to attach. All right, now that we got our holes through the van, you can take your little deburring tool if you'd like, and just kind of clean up those edges a little bit, whether you have a tool like this or you have a drill bit that's kind of like a countersink look. You kind of can get around here, make sure there's no metal shards in this hole. Get both sides of it. All right, now that we have these holes put through, you're gonna definitely wanna primer these. All of the body on these sprinters are steel, so get plenty of primer on there inside of the hole and around it. I definitely recommend trying to get it from both sides as well, because you never know where the rest can come from. All right, we got the primer on, we got our ladder back on. We're gonna pop one of these 7/8 bolts through with a washer on it. We're gonna do a washer on the back side of that pinch weld as well, and a nut with a nylocking on the back side as well. Tighten both of these up, brackets down here, then we'll go check to see how straight it is along that center line of the van, and we'll attach the top brackets. All right, here's our top brackets of the roof rack. Now that we've bolted the bottom into the pinch welds, we're looking up and down it to see it's straight along the seam right here. We've got your top bracket in with the 3/4 inch quarter 20s as well. You can either do the bolts through this side and the washer on the outside. Either way, totally up to your preference. We'll just hand tighten these, as well as going through the roof rack here. We're gonna go 3/4 inch bolt, the washer on the back side, and then the nut. Same thing on this side, then we'll tighten them all up. We've got both brackets finger tight. Now we're gonna go through and bolt into the ladder first, and then just one last time, you're gonna wanna check that it's straight and before you bolt into the side ladder, into the side of the roof rack, I should say. All right, everybody, that is the install of your Sandy Van side ladder. As you saw, we had all the side pieces laid up on the table back there, installed all your steps for the top and bottom, did the joiners together, hooked it onto the roof of the van, went down below, marked the holes, drilled the holes, mounted the lower plates, and then went back up to the Sandy Van Sandbar roof rack and bolted in your side brackets. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on www.sandyvans.com, and we'll see you on the next video.